I know.
Never got asked. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday night Memorial Day weekend edition of Talking Iowa Hawkeye Sports Podcast. We're glad to have you. I don't know how many of you're going to actually watch live today, but as a reminder, you can play it anytime you want. We'll share it out on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. Yeah. You guys are all welcome. If you're not doing anything to kind of watch us live tonight, leave some comments and everything else. But I do want to say, if you're watching over, from what I understand, if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram tonight live, your comments won't show up here. So the best bet to do is just go over to my YouTube channel, Talking Iowa Hawkeye Sports, if you want to leave some comments and ask some questions, because we'll see those for sure.
Yeah, give us some spicy questions. We're going to go over some spicy subjects tonight. So
yeah, we got a lot of just kind of like I call it a potpourri of things, but I think we're going to do a lot of football stuff today. And I've got some questions on some football stuff that I dreamed up for our illustrious person here, because sometimes I just don't understand what I read sometimes. I have to reread some stuff, and I have to be actually slapped across the face and says, no, it's saying this. But I think the first thing I'd like to get into, then this will segue into everything else, is you wanted to talk a little bit about Beth Goetz' influence, or, how she...
We just didn't have a ton of news this week. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to have a podcast, you go, what are we going to cover? And I go, how about the state of Iowa athletic teams at Iowa? Yeah. I was trying to come up with something. I was hoping people would have interesting questions. So that's what I came up with. It isn't, Beth Goetz is running the place now, but it doesn't have to be much about her. I don't know. But.
Yeah, this will segue into some football stuff that I came up with. But you challenged me to look up our Big Ten finishes in all these sports for Iowa. Are you ready for this? Because challenge accepted, challenge done.
Yeah, we can do it sport by sport, and talk about where we think that sport is. Mm-hmm. Where do we have much shot, to go higher, all that stuff. So
yeah, I think, okay. Well, football, as you know, we finished in sixth place with a 6-3 Big Ten record and 9-4. Can we better that this year?
We're underdogs in 3 games,
and all three of those teams are ranked. I got the preseason football rankings too. All three of those teams are ranked highly.
and I seen where they went over the betting on them already. Mm-hmm. And Iowa's 10-point underdog at least in all of them. Ohio State's like a 20-point underdog, or 19 or something like that.
It was 19 at one point, and then
I believe
but
Michigan.
I think that was Dockerman. He was just guessing where the line would show up.
Yeah, but they were. I think Michigan was the closest one. I think you probably remember. I don't know.
Yeah. Michigan was like 7 at one point. Okay. Well, men's basketball, 8th place, 10-10 record in the Big Ten, 24-13 overall. Would you say that in Ben McCollum's first year, we over exceeded expectations, under exceeded, or about that's about where you kind of thought we might finish?
It was slightly below as far as the regular season, what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But what we did in the season in the NCAA tournament was so far above what I thought that we had a very sick time there for 10 days in the Big Ten that cost us some games.
Yeah,
that was my opinion.
True. Yeah,
I just think I'm sure when we go over, I don't know how you're going to do this. We're going to go over each sport and talk about the future, where we think it's going to be or what. I don't know how you want to do it, Dean.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we won't discuss is track and field because I do not have those results, but maybe you do.
Joey Woody's the coach of the men. I don't know. He doesn't coach both, right? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Joey Woody's
I couldn't get any information on track and field. That was
Joey Woody's doing a great job. I think we were right up at the top as far as Big Ten track championships. I think. Well, I don't think we finished first, but we were right up there. But
well, I want to say in men's basketball, for as far as the regular season goes, that's about where I thought. I told you guys early on. I thought 10-10 was are going to be our record in the Big Ten, and it was. And I didn't know where at that time. I didn't really predict a place because I didn't know where 10-10 would put us in the standings. But so I think the regular season finished about where I thought it would. But like you, the NCAA tournament just exceeded expectations.
I was like shocked. I mean, me and you were so gloriously happy that night we beat Nebraska. We had our podcast. We just kept laughing because we were so happy. It was like we were on laughing gas or something. It was like, can you believe it? We're going to the elite with this roster of players and
Well, you and I are old enough to know that we hadn't been to the Elite Eight since 1986. I mean, a lot of our listeners were probably just getting born around that time. So they've never seen an Elite Eight in their lifetime. So women's basketball finishes in second place, both tournament and regular season. 15-3 in the Big Ten. 27-7 overall. I would say, in my personal opinion, they way exceeded my expectations. I did not think that they would do that well. However, though, given their seeding in the tournament and the fact that their first two games were at home, I was very, very disappointed in how the season ended, like everybody else was with women's basketball.
It's kind of a flip flop of the men.
Mm-hmm.
You were kind of disappointed in the regular season, and the NCAA tournament just blew you away, and then the women, you're like blown away by the regular season, and then you get to the NCAA tournament, it's like, oh boy, that let the air out of the balloon. But
everybody blamed it on the UCLA title game because they're just saying that we didn't recover, and I don't think that's true. I don't think they let the UCLA game affect them that much. It's just that we didn't play well in that game.
We didn't hit our shots, that's for sure.
Yeah, but the one thing that both Ben and Jan have said that I just really, really like, and I haven't heard our coach Ferentz say this yet, but both coaches, like Ben said this year when they asked him how he felt about his run in the tournament, he says we should have been in the Final Four. I love that. That's the fight in Ben. We should have been in the Final Four. Jan says recently in some of her iClub outings, we're going to go back to the Final Four. Our goal is to get back to the Final Four. And she wants to do it this year, this season.
Yeah. I think Ben more than any other coach at Iowa sounds just like Kirk Ferentz. Kirk Ferentz says every year, we want to win every game, and that's what Ben wants to do. And the way they talk and the way they run their program's the same.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
But I want to hear.
Jan's just different because her answers are always so. Instead of being one sentence long, they're like a whole paragraph. She just talks different. So
yeah. But and Kirk, I know that his goal is to make the playoffs and maybe win a national title, but I want to hear him say it publicly instead of just saying when people ask him about it, he says, "Well, our goal is to win every game."
Yeah. Isn't that what it is? Win every game?
Yes. I want to hear him say, our goal is to get to the playoffs. Our goal is to win a natty, I know that he wants that because what good coach wouldn't? But I just want to hear him say
it. I would think goal to win every game would be the same thing, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so we got men's wrestling coming up.
People just like to nitpick it at Kirk more. All
right. Okay. So, all right. So we got men's wrestling. We finished 4th in the Big Ten, which I actually, I'm disappointed in our 4th place finish, but that's better than what I thought we were going to do because I thought we were on pace to finish in 7th place in the Big Ten, and we did not. I forgot what our national. I didn't look it up. What our national ranking was, or what our national.
Didn't we finish 4th in the nationals?
Nationals. It was 4th in the Big Ten for sure. I forget what we finished in the nationals.
It was either 4th or 5th in the nationals, and I think it was 4th. It just said we had some. When you're looking at where we're going to finish in the Big Ten or in the nationals, when you have a few wrestlers that are seeded pretty good, and then they over wrestle their seed, that can get you higher than you expect. So it's different than
under wrestle their seed. Some of them under wrestled their seed.
I don't know. We had a good run in the NCAA tournament. So, anyway.
Yeah, I thought they bounced back and looked a little stronger and a little more aggressive in the NCAAs. Okay, Bob Hoffman says it surprised me that it seems like the women ran out of gas in the second overtime against Virginia. Yes, they did. And I didn't get to watch much of that game, and nor did I go back and watch it.
We just Dan did not trust our weak bench other than Journey Houston. And
by the way,
what?
She says during her iClub outing, she improved at every position with the everybody that she went out and got so far, And so is that a kind of slap to Addie Deal, Kelly Levine, Tegan Delaney that all left?
Well, the only slap that would be Hannah Stolke, but I think she reiterated that she's going to really, really miss Hannah, but. I don't think that's a slap at anything because somebody that was starting the last 15 games of the season, Stremlo, a lot of people are thinking, she's going to be backing up, so it does look like a stronger. If Stremlo's coming off the bench, and if Journey Houston's still coming off the bench and Journey ought to be better. I would think that we'd have and Danny Carnegie's like an All-American. How can you not be better?
Yeah, true. Amari Whiting probably won't be a lot of drop-off defensively from what we got from Feuerbach this year.
She's a better defensive player than Feuerbach on a total defense.
Yeah.
And she's
by the way, I reiterated to Amari Whiting. I did put out a message to her that I still want to interview her for this podcast, as I did Danny Carnegie. I've asked her to come on the show. And I most recently asked Medina to come on the show.
Just a minute, I got a medical alarm going off. I'll shut it off. I still here?
Yep, we're all here still.
My blood sugar's too low, so.
Okay. All right. Women's wrestling, we didn't have a Big Ten standings because there is no the way that's women's wrestling set up. But this is the first year of that they did an NCAA tournament, and Iowa took second in the nationals and the women. So the women's wrestling program has been very strong from the get-go, but as they get more and more Power 4 teams involved, and more of them are coming involved now, it might be a little tough going. There's a lot of great women wrestlers out there that could be out there until you get more and more teams. It's going to be really compact where these women go. Volleyball. I wrote this backwards. Finished 4-6 in the Big Ten. 15th place. 15-17 overall. However, if you really want to get personal about this, I got this down wrong. I wrote it down wrong, but I'm not sure. But the women went 4-16 in 24, 2-18 in 23, and 4-16 in 22. So not a huge difference. I don't know why the total games are so much smaller than what they played this year. Somebody will have to tell me about that one later.
But they competed much better in them losses.
Yes.
where they'd lose 2 games to 1 instead of being swept.
Yeah.
They obviously have made a jump this year in competitiveness.
Field hockey, they finished 5-3 in conference, but they also took second place, and in the tournament they took second place. So Northwestern finished first at 8-0 in the league. Soccer, third place. Soccer is really doing well, but they're going to have a new coach. Their coach stepped down, and they got a new coach. I can't remember the new coach's name, but they got a new coach. They were 6-2 in conference and 12-5-4 overall. Softball, as we talked about, if you guys missed our interview with head coach Stacy May Johnson from the softball, you can find it in our variety there of videos from most recently last Wednesday. They finished 13th, just one place out of the playoffs, and so I think there's nowhere to go. After talking to her, she sounds a lot like talking to Ben McCollum and everything. There is no place for that team to go but up, and I think they're going to go up and just really do well. Baseball, 8th place, 15-15 conference record. They did come on a little stronger toward the end, but they did struggle most of the season. And what do you think that is? Was it their pitching? Or how they're pitching? What do you think of their pitching?
We had pretty good starting pitching. One of our pitchers got hurt before the season started.
Yep, I got him down here. Are we talking about him? Kyle Alivino?
Well,
I can't say the name.
I think Alive or whatever his name is. I think he returned and pitched. Didn't he pitch like the last game or so in the Big Ten tournament or something? But
yeah,
they had a top pitcher before the season that wasn't him. I think that got hurt too.
Oh, okay, alrighty.
Anyway, I think he had Tommy John surgery or something. But if they can keep their pitchers, because the transfer portal opens in a week, and that's a big deal. Iowa ain't got a lot of NIL money in baseball, and unless somebody steps forward, maybe somebody has. I don't think so, but we have a great coach at Iowa. I think it's going to be tough replacing our second baseman, Gable Mitchell, and our shortstop next year because they're gone. Gable Mitchell is one of the best, and get our catcher healed up. But it's going to be tough. It's tough at Iowa. We got a great coach, but it's tough to get a lot higher. We can get up in that maybe top 4 once in a while, but it's just a tough gig, and it's a lot tougher with these USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington in the mix.
Yeah.
But,
oh, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, more about the baseball. They were 33-23 overall. 9-1 in midweek games, which is probably just the opposite of what last year was, where it seemed like they were losing midweek games all the time, and that really hurt them in the long run. They lost 63% of their at-bats after this year. So let me go back. I want to do gymnastics real quick, and then I want to go and do baseball since we've talked a little bit about baseball. Okay. Gymnastics finished 14-6. Overall, 6-3, 5th place in the Big Ten, and was ranked 17th nationally. So not bad for the gymnastics team. I don't know how they do normally. Didn't have a comparison to other seasons. Why is the comment thing? Guys, if you're commenting out there, let me know somehow, because our comment section looks really, really condensed today.
And we only have women's gymnastics, right?
Yeah.
We used to have men's too, but that went by the board.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, remember, switch over to YouTube. I cannot see your comments if you're on Instagram or Facebook, and maybe even X. I don't know. So please come over here to YouTube and leave your comments here. There's quite a few of you online. I'm hoping we get some more questions and stuff. Okay, so to you, what is our team's biggest need for next season? Like, if we're going to the portal, what do we need next year for the baseball team?
Baseball?
Yeah.
I'm sure coach wants to, revigorate his roster with high school kids and junior college kids. I seen he's getting a couple junior college kids from Kirkwood that are really good. If they don't, it's like some of his high school kids, I read where some of them could get drafted and they might not even make it to Iowa. But he does a good job picking up, pitchers that pitch for some of them teams that we play, like Illinois State and Western Illinois or Eastern Illinois, whoever they are. But he just does the best he can. I'm no baseball expert. I'm just I just know that every year I think he gets about as much out of them as he can. So
yeah. Bob says again, he goes, remember when we were on top of the world in men's wrestling and women's field hockey? Yes, I do. I do remember those days. And if you watched our podcast throughout the year, you know how upset I got over the fact that the men's wrestling just doesn't seem to be the same program that we had. And granted, under Dan Gable, it was a different program than what we've got now, but both of them are fiery, competing coaches that you would think would bring out the best competitiveness, aggressiveness out of each other.
We know there's no lack of money in our wrestling program. we know that. It's like Penn State, Iowa, and Oklahoma State all have a lot of money. It's just you're running up against Cale Sanders. So it's like wrestling against it's like wrestling against Dan Gable. So
yeah, there you go. All right, now back to the baseball real quick, then we'll get on to football. It said, who of the returners can baseball depend on next year? And two guys specifically mentioned, Ben Swales and I want to say Jackson Frost are two guys that are talked about being the replacing Gable Mitchell.
Yeah. I know we got real good catchers. you know, and they're talking about moving one of them maybe to first base or something, but I don't know enough about it. I just know we got a good coach and so on and so forth. And we got good young starting pitchers. Our relief pitchers really stunk this year. I think their ERA for the whole year was like 7. You know, it might have been 5, but don't quote me.
Okay. All righty. France Party of 3 says the beard is incredible. Let it grow. Let it grow. Should I go duck hunters length? I saw a guy at a restaurant today when I was door dashing, who had he was at not today, at Chick-fil-A with a duck hunter's beard.
Do not go with the ZZ Top look.
Well, that'd be the duck hunters then.
I know that. Don't go. When you're looking like this, you know, you look like I told you even before we went on. You look at smart and intelligent and stuff like that. So I'd stick with that, Dean. Of course, you should ask your wife. She should have a little bit of.
I think she wants me to just trim it down to a goatee.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. We're going to get into some football talk. I got some interesting breakouts for the football. The first thing I wanted to do was to note that Athlon already has their preseason magazine out. I haven't seen it on a newsstand, so I just believe it might be available only digitally right now. And quite interesting was the fact that where some of these schools are ranked. Who do you think is the number 1 team for next year? This next season?
Ohio State or Texas? I don't know.
Close. It was Ohio State. All right. Georgia comes in at number 2. Texas at number 3. Guys, let me know if you think these are good choices. Notre Dame number 4.
I know one thing. They got Penn State too low, I think, because.
Well, they're going to be 9-3. They're going to be 9-3, so they're not too low. They're not too low.
They shouldn't lose more than 2 games with that schedule.
I think it's 3. They're going to lose 3. I'll when I get my hands on those actual magazines, I'll go and do my predictions team by team and where I think they'll end up. Okay, Notre Dame number 4. Texas is number 3, but I'm sure that's all on Arch Manning's back. Notre Dame, I still think they shouldn't even be included in this kind of stuff anymore. After the way they got angry and like a little baby, and I'm taking my football and going home because we didn't make the playoffs.
Notre Dame should lose 1 game at the most this year, that Miami game. Mm-hmm. And maybe they should beat Miami after Miami had so many people go to the NFL draft. But
okay, a few days ago, Paulo Roberto says, a few days ago, Coach Barrett said on the Hawk Central podcast, missed out on one Canadian, but is still looking at the next best Canadian. Any guesses as who's this next best Canadian might be?
The 2 Canadians I know that visited. Well, one didn't visit, but the best Canadian went to Iowa State. That 6'3" wing. I'm trying to think of what her name was. She was from. She had a French name, and then the other one was this Georgia Ferguson, who just committed. I sent it to you guys on Messenger where she went, but I don't remember where she went.
I'll have to go back and look. Sometimes you guys send so much that some of that stuff gets lost. Oh. Like, sometimes you send me a post and I'll ask you about something and you'll say, well, I sent it to you earlier. And I go, man, I got so many. I missed half of what I said.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, all right. Texas is number 3. Notre Dame number 4. Indiana's number 5, and they're number 5 because they lost. According to Athlon, they lost a few people because they go. Why would you think that? That's funny. It says, why would you think the national champion would only be ranked number 5 going into the season? Because they lost a few people, and their quarterback situation that they picked up is not been proven yet, I guess.
Well, he's been proven other places, but not at Indiana.
I think TCU.
Yeah, Josh
Oregon is,
Hoover or something like that, and he threw a lot more interceptions where he was before. But
yeah. Well, Oregon comes in at number 6. So in the top 6, the Big Ten is well represented. We got 3 of the top 6. Number 7 is Miami. So if you go by rankings, Notre Dame should beat Miami. Oklahoma Sooners back in the rankings, number 8.
yeah, they had a hell of a team last year.
Texas A&M. I don't know if they're Big Ten or SEC. I forget. They're number 9.
Texas A&M is SEC.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
obviously not in the Big Ten.
10 LSU. Wow, they're coming back. They're making some noise. Number 11 is Ole Miss. Number 12 is Texas Tech. They're Big 12, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 13, Michigan. I just don't think Michigan's going to, I just don't think they're going to, I don't know. I just don't think they're that high, but we'll see. I think they'll get there again with the coach that they got. They've got an outstanding coach. I just think they need another season to get their act together unless all that talent can adjust right away. And I know they got a decent quarterback and they pay good money for him. Number 14 is USC. Everybody's high on USC this year. But if you want to go by standings, USC isn't going to do any better than 5th or 6th place in the Big Ten, according to these rankings.
Big Ten's pretty loaded there, Dean.
Yes, they are.
You can ask Vanderbilt about that.
Yeah, we got the number 1 on our schedule. We got number 1 Ohio State, number 13 Michigan, number 17 Washington on our schedule.
Yeah.
But Alabama's number 15. God, when was the last time you saw Alabama come in so low? You know, I mean, they're still in the top 25, but man, you're always used to seeing them in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, this is Athlon.
Yeah,
it's sure different than a lot of the polls I see. A lot of the polls I see have Alabama in the top 5 and Notre Dame in like number 2 behind Ohio State, and they're all picking Notre Dame to beat Ohio State in the national championship game. I don't know. They'll fight. Last year at this time, they thought Texas was the best team in the country, and Texas obviously wasn't. This Arch Manning guy, every year they think he's going to win the Heisman. Well, he ought to. He better be the best quarterback in his conference one of these years first, I think.
Yeah. Well, BYU comes in at number 16, Washington number 17, Penn State number 18, Houston number 19, Utah number 20, Tennessee 21, SMU number 22, number 23 is Louisville. Boy, that is it Baum or Brom, right? That went from Purdue to Louisville.
Jeff
Man, he's got that program turned around down there. How likely is it Iowa will shock the world this year with their passing game? We're going to talk about that. I have that on my list to talk about. We're going to come to that. Okay, number 24 is Boise State.
If we average 160 yards passing a game, we'll shock the world.
And then Iowa comes in at number 25, so we're getting a little respect. And honestly, with that kind of schedule we have, I'm actually shocked that we're getting that kind of respect because we do have a very tough schedule. Oh my God!
I was any way you look at it. Are you still there, Dean?
Yes, I am. Why?
Any way you look at it, Iowa over the last 10, 11 years has been a top 15 program. So I'm not surprised that national pundits have us at least in the top 25. So it's like, it's not a national secret. I think some Iowa fans think it's a secret that we're a top 15 program.
Okay.
They just don't realize they don't realize how hard it is to average over 9 wins a season for 10 years.
Yeah. So I think it's a podcast or some kind of an article that has to do with the Oregon Ducks. Interviewed Kakert on what Iowa looks like, and they came up with these figures. Like our rushing success from 21 to 25 was 49.5%. Our rush per yards for carry was 4.46, and our rush explosiveness was 10.48%. In 24 only, and that's the year of Caleb Johnson, our rush success was 57.06. Our yards per carry were 5.45, and our explosiveness was 14.12. And then we dropped back last season, 55.7% for rush success. Rush per carry was 4.6, and our rush explosiveness dropped to a low of 10.24. This brings up, with the Joe Moore award-winning line, this kind of brings up a little bit of question I got in my head. This came up to me. Why didn't we try to run the ball more with our running backs rather than with our quarterback? Because it looks to me like we suffered a lot by not using that line more for our regular running backs, or maybe our running backs weren't capable of going through holes. I don't know.
I just think that Lester went with the best thing we had going as far as getting first downs and moving the football. When you end up 3rd and 2 and your quarterback sneak and get a first down, you move the chains, but you're going to hurt your yards per carry. And we couldn't use that weapon of quarterback draws and stuff with Cade McNamara or somebody like that as our quarterback, because they were very breakable. We almost broke Gronkowski, but he somehow healed up quick. So
actually, he said in the bowl game was the best he felt all season, and that was probably the best he looked all season too. So it's too bad we didn't have him fully healthy and on from day one, and to where he just didn't, he didn't look good in those first 2 games. If he had looked as good in Iowa State game as he did in the Vanderbilt game, Iowa State would have been blown out. Anyway,
our pass yards per attempt, did they go up?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over that. Okay, Eric says, I'm excited for the receiving room, but slightly concerned for our unproven QBs to get the ball to them. Bingo. We don't know what we're going to get with those guys. I know that everybody's excited for our receiving room. I mean, we've got Vaname making another major step on catching. We've got Diaz, Vanderzee, Diaz, and who's that other transfer?
Evans is the other transfer, but then we also have Dayton Howard, and they say Bowie is healthy now too, and then KJ Parker hopefully doesn't drop passes like he did last year. But
anyway, so from 20 in past success. 21 to 25, it was 39.24%. Pass per yards, 6.3. That's attempt, by the way. Pass attempt.
Yards per attempt.
Yeah, yards per attempt. Yeah. Pass explosiveness was 12.30%. In 24 only, in the year 2024. And this was 43.4 for pass success, 6.25 for yards per attempt, and pass explosiveness dropped down to 11.39%.
That was the year with That was with 3 different quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Shaggy
right. And that was the year of Caleb Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay. Pass success dropped considerably for last year with 40.82%, but I don't think there's any Hawkeye fans that could actually argue that because it seemed like Gronk was running more than he was throwing.
And he had an extremely slow start to the season. The first 3 games was like we didn't have a passing attack, really.
Yeah. And so yards per attempt were up at 675. So last year they were higher. And our pass explosiveness, yay, bingo, big jump, 15.7%. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna put this another Eric. Eric's thank you, Eric. I mean, you're back. Missed you, buddy. Missed you. If QB play is solid, I see it realistically 2 or 3 losses for the season. Eric, you do know what we got those 3 really rough games in a row, right? Ohio State, Michigan, and Washington, all of them highly ranked. But we'll be ranked too. We should be ranked going into those games too. But we get Michigan first, and I still say Michigan's the most beatable of the team. What? Yes.
I have Iowa going 10-3 on the season.
But you won't say if that's with the bowl game or not.
Because you know why, Dean?
Why?
Because I don't know. I don't know. I don't go by individual games and say, oh, we're going to win that one, we're going to lose this one, we're going to win that one, we're going to lose this one. Because we'll probably win a game that we don't think we're going to lose. Maybe we'll upset Ohio State. But then we might stub our toe and lose a game in a game where the team, no matter how hard you practice, you show up and you just don't play well. You know, that's football. You know?
Mean like Iowa State last year? Because we should have won that.
Well, and we didn't play well against Michigan State. We somehow won the game. Thanks to Gronowski showing up in the 4th quarter. He didn't do nothing. Then in the 4th quarter, I don't know who the hell he hit, Vanderzee, I think, for a touchdown, and he hit Vaname, and he might have hit Howard, I don't know. But and the Rutgers game was a game we could have lost, and we showed up in the 4th quarter, caught a couple big passes, and won. That's what I'm saying is I'm predicting what I think the record's going to be without being so minute as to say, oh, yeah, we're going to win this game and win this game and lose that game and win that game. Because I don't know. I think we're either going to go 9-3 on the season and win the bowl game, is what I'm saying, or we're going to go 10-2 and go to the playoffs and lose a game in the playoffs. That's just I don't know what's going to happen, but that's just my prediction so far. So
So
I know we're going to play at least 13 games.
Yeah. So finally, we're going to get our offense ranked.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said F+ offense. I hope that doesn't mean they were grading our offense an F+, but from 21 to 25, we ranked 81st. In 2024 by itself, we ranked 61st. Mm-hmm. And last season, we jumped up to 47th.
Yeah. So, when they do that, you know how they do analyzing of offenses? Mm-hmm. And the way they call it offensive efficiency. In offensive efficiency, we were a lot higher than 47th. That took in our first down percentage, how we did on 4th down, how we did in the red zone, you know, getting the ball into the end zone, which thank God we had Gronowski, you know. When we're inside the 5-yard line, there was no reason to throw the ball, you know, because Gronowski could have ran it 3 times. We had a touchdown, you know, but our offensive efficiency was pretty elite last year, even though we only averaged yards per game don't really matter. I don't know if we averaged 280 yards a game, whatever we did. But if your offense is efficient and gets first downs and is good in the red zone and everything, your offense is a lot better than some team that piles up 400 yards a game and throws 30 interceptions. You know?
Well, Eric has another comment. He says, "Not easy, but realistically, I think Iowa has had some really good follow-up seasons when having similar past seasons to the type of last year's season." This was a recent article. There was a recent article about that. I didn't catch that article. If you want to link it somehow, Eric, that'd be great. Bob says, pressure on Campbell with Penn State being ranked number 18. He's now living in a whole different world. He is living in a different world. My question is can he win at Penn State with all the Iowa State players he's got? I don't know.
Right now, he has the number 1 recruiting class in the country. I follow recruiting, and
so he's going to try to build around high schoolers and not transfer portal people too.
Well, he's gonna get, and they got plenty of money for transfer portals too. He's gonna have, he's got a blue blood roster right now at Iowa State. I mean, at Penn State. You can talk about the Iowa State players he's got, but the guys he's got from Iowa State were elite players, couple elite quarterbacks.
They didn't play elite. They stubbed their toes when they had a chance to do something.
That's probably
special.
Probably the piss poor coaching they're getting. I don't know. I'm joking.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing Campbell fall flat on his face over at Penn State, but
I know one thing with that schedule he's got this year. I'm keep talking about it every week. He better win a lot of games. I mean, just go look at the schedule. It's like not tough, I think even the tough games he's got them at home, at Happy Valley. So,
okay, all righty. You sent this. I know you wanted to kind of talk about this. So if you want to, I mean, can you even see it?
That's for 2028, which is. This year's recruiting class is so small, it isn't even worth looking at. We're only going to give 14. We got like 10 commitments or something. We're only going to give like 15, and a lot of them are from Iowa. But I thought it was interesting. Texas, I think, is the Jay Norvell effect, maybe.
Yeah, that's sure. 24. They've given 24 offers out in Texas this year.
Yep.
And 22 from Illinois, which is normal.
Mm-hmm.
14 from Florida. We're going back to Florida?
Well, we've been getting running backs and wide receivers from Florida lately. The best, that freshman wide receiver we got this year, Xavier Stinson. He's from Florida. McNeil's from Florida. Half our running back room, Jazzy Patterson, was from Florida, and Moulton's from Florida, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Florida and Texas. If you don't go to Florida and Texas, boy, there's a lot of recruits in them two states. California might be a little too far away for us, but
yeah. Well, I don't think we have any. We haven't got any offers in California right now. Ohio's 10 offers. Mm-hmm. And so what's this say? Iowa's only offered 8 people from Iowa for 2028. Does this mean that class is not going to be that great?
No. What that means is what Kirk does every year for the Iowa guys. He usually, he's talking to everybody in Iowa, and next year's Iowa class is going to be a huge amount of good football players. I follow recruiting. I know there's going to be 20 some Division I prospects, offensive linemen, 2 wide receivers that are really good. And Iowa's sitting really good with both of them, and, but what Kirk does in Iowa is there's a lot of good kids that he does not offer them a scholarship till they come to his summer camp. So he can see them actually in person practice. And after they come to his summer camp, he'll offer them. And sometimes he won't offer them until 6 months later. Because most of these Iowa kids, they want to come to Iowa. Unless there's somebody like that thinks they're too big for their britches,
Okay. All right. Eric has some more comments.
Or their parents, both went to Iowa State or something. So,
Yeah. Well, okay. All right. Eric has some comments on that article that he read. He goes, overtime after playing in and winning either an Outback or ReliaQuest Bowl game, Hawkeyes consistently string together double-digit win season in the wake. In all three cases where these circumstances arose from 2004 to 2019, the same results follow with records of 10-2, 11-2, and 11-3, respectively.
That's cool.
Yeah.
This year is kind of a weird year, just because we don't have anything much coming back on defense, which is it's a weird year. We have a total of 45 or 4,700 snaps that guys had last year on defense that are back.
Yeah, we got our defense is probably the least experienced that we've got.
The next lowest, this is in Power 4. It's by far the lowest amount of returning snaps on defense in the entire country of the major, it's Power 5 conferences. The next lowest one, I think, is Minnesota or something. And they got 7,500, which is it's not double what we have. But most teams have 11, 12,000 snaps coming back. And we got 4,500 or 4,700. The good news is somebody on On3 put up where our defense is finished in the nation. And when Phil started out, his first year, we were like 47th in the nation. But for the most part, from 2012 till 2017, we were right around 30th in the nation on defense, 28th to 30th. And then Seth Wallace became the linebacker coach, and he talked Phil into going to that Leo and Cash thing. And since then, the lowest we've been in defense in the Seth Wallace era, usually we're top 6, something like that. I think the lowest is 13th or 14th. So people are saying, yeah, we don't have anybody coming back on defense, hardly. Sure, we got an All-American like Lutmer or something. But people are saying, don't worry, we got Phil and Seth. Time will tell, right, Dean?
Yes, time will tell.
But that's the worrisome part.
Okay.
To me, anyway.
Let's continue with these offers by state. Arizona, we've offered 7. Michigan, we've offered 6. Missouri, we offered 5. Indiana, we got 4 offers out there. Tennessee and Nebraska, 3 offers each. And then Georgia, North Carolina, Minnesota, Utah, and Wisconsin, all got 2 offers from Iowa. And
some of them, these are for guys that were sophomores last year. So those numbers will rise, especially in our neighboring states, Minnesota, Wisconsin. And in Iowa, the number that we offer is going to more than double, probably.
Okay, yeah.
But the reason I wanted to show that to you was that, wow, look at Texas, and look at Texas all of a sudden. We're back in Texas. So I think they want speed down there, That's where Diaz is from. So
yeah, so I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand this new punt rule that they're going to be starting this season?
I have no clue about it. I started reading about it, and I thought, this is so convoluted and everything.
It's so complicated.
I don't know.
Complicated.
I'm hoping that the coaches all hated it in the Big Ten, led by Kirk. Because
they're not going to get it changed. They're not going to be able to get it changed
because there haven't been any. It could be changed. They could decide not to do it. But because they got the summer. That's why they asked the coaches what they thought of it. The rules committee talks to the coaches, and if there's nothing wrong with the way we've been punting. There's nothing wrong. It hasn't been dangerous to players. Nothing. It's just somebody sitting around on their rear end dreaming up crap. It really is, so.
Yeah. So, okay.
What did you read
guys
about
are out
it?
there, your viewers.
What are some of the rules, Dean? Did you read it or?
It has something to do with your jersey number and who can stay back and block. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out.
Well, they said
it out. But as long as we don't go to the NFL punting rule or kickoff, I guess it's the NFL kickoff rule, not punting.
That's the kickoff rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that they're just making football. They're just taking the fun out of football.
Yeah, I know it took out a lot of the trick plays that Kirk used to run. Mm-hmm. Like throwing to the center. Or
you can't do that anymore but if he has an eligible number, you can throw to him.
I think it said somebody told me that if you snap the ball, you cannot be an eligible receiver, which to be an eligible receiver before you got to have so many people on the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. Is it 6? And so they'd have the center on the line of scrimmage, and then the next 5 to one side of them or 6 would be on the line of scrimmage, which meant he was on the end of the line of scrimmage so he could catch the ball.
Yeah.
But they don't want to do that. I understand that you can't have duplicate numbers out there. That was kind of cheating. Was that USC that did that last year? They had the backup quarterback, or UCLA or somebody had the quarterback go in at punt and put on a different number. Mm-hmm. You should wear one number during the game in my book, but and not switch.
So they can't do that anymore?
I presume from what you said about duplicate numbers, I don't know. But
I don't know. It has something to do with the numbering system that they can go 5 across or something if everybody wears a certain number. Otherwise, it's like 2 times 2 or so. I don't understand that, or 2 plus 2 or something like that.
What?
I don't understand. It's complicated, and that means the coaches have got to figure this out, and they got to teach it to their linemen and everything. Eric says flag football is setting kids up for failure when they get older. Eric, can you explain why you said that? I don't understand how flag football is setting kids up for failure.
I know Tom Moore made the comment the other day that all these flag football and 7-on-7 leagues, he said it does not get kids ready to play football. He said
not tackle. Yeah, you're right. They don't play tackle football, so they're not going to.
Well, he said when you get into a real game where people are putting their hands in the dirt, it's a total different thing, But anyway.
Oh, snapping and then going out for a pass, he meant. Okay. Yeah. Well, I will tell you this. My grandson played on a regular tackle football team, and he had no fun with it because he was kind of short and stocky, kind of like his grandpa, and they put him at nose guard, and he had no success. And it's hard for a person to have fun when you set them up to be failing on purpose, and you set that team up to lose on purpose because, anyhow, the next season he asked to play flag football, and that's the most fun he had. He was catching balls all over the place.
Yeah.
And on the last game of the season when he scored the winning touchdown. He caught the pass for the winning touchdown, stepped into the end zone, and they won their league title.
Cool.
That was the happiest I'd seen him been all day. He loved flag football.
And he'd remember that the rest of his life.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not short and stocky anymore. He's now taller than his grandpa and has lost some of that weight.
Yeah.
But okay. Where did I want to go next with this?
What do you think I said that, that I was a top 15 program over the last 10, 11 years. Do you think Beth's got it running all right? Getting enough NIL to survive?
First of all, Beth ain't running the football program. Kirk Ferentz is.
Well, she's setting up the funding. You know, like when he wants to hire Tom Moore and have 15 coaches on, there's no limit to how many people you can have on your staff now. Mm-hmm. But
okay, so you know, we have been consistently above average since 2015, our last major run. We're going on 12 years now. 11 years now, starting with this season, since we had a great run in football. So I want to say we're above average. We're not average. We're above average. We've been consistently there. And I'm not trying to be critical of Kirk. Not all of it's his fault, but we just, I don't know. I want to say we've got some training issues going on because we get a lot of guys hurt, especially with soft tissue injuries, and I know that football's a violent sport, so people are going to get hurt. But it seems like Iowa, more than most teams, lose a lot of key people. And at Iowa, once you lost a key person, we don't have that kind of depth to replace them. At Ohio State, probably their third stringers are probably better than our starters.
They're more highly talented, but I disagree with you that we're just slightly above average. I love these old guys that Hayden goes 8-4, and that was a great season, and Kirk goes 10-3, and that's average. It's like,
when was the last time Iowa won 10 games? Tell me the last time Iowa won 10 games in the season. It's been 8 for a while now until this year when we hit 9.
Well, shit, we should have won 11 games when Cooper DeJean got called for that punt return thing.
Yeah, I know it.
People have a very short memory, and they're very critical of Kirk for some reason. I, for the life of me, cannot understand it. And I think 90% of the people in Iowa agree with me, but it's these people that oh my God, when's the last time we won 10 games? Well, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
When you average over 9 wins a season for 10 years, you got to have some 10-win seasons in there.
Yeah, but I would say nowadays, back in the day when Hayden Fry played, 8 wins is probably equal to 10 wins now.
I disagree.
Okay, that's fine.
Hayden had like 2 Big Ten teams that were threats to him to play. Now there's 8. More than that, probably. And if Hayden finished 3rd in the Big Ten, that's like finished 7th now. If Kirk finishes 4th in the Big Ten now, that's a lot better than finishing 3rd when we had 10 teams. But
all right. Eric does say what Iowa does with less money and less high-level recruits year in and year out is quite impressive. And yeah, I will definitely agree with that.
We are an Iowa podcast.
I guess my only thing is I just want to see if we can get a higher level recruit and stuff, and if people would start donating some money. Okay. Brian left a sour taste for several people. Kirk is slowly redeeming himself from that brief downturn. But remember, Brian worked for Kirk. Brian didn't have free reign.
Yeah, I'm sure Kirk called all them plays. So
yeah,
that was what you guys used to say.
I don't. No, that's Jason.
Podcast all the time.
Like, no, actually, me and Jason never said that.
They're running Kirk's offense. Well, Kirk has had 4 different offensive coordinators in his tenure there, and every one of them offenses look completely different. It was like there's I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Greg Davis wanted to open it up more. Kirk told
we're
him
an
not
Iowa
to.
podcast, and thank God for Kirk Ferentz. God darn it!
But you got to remember, Greg Davis wanted to open up the offense more. Kirk told him no. They got in an argument, and that's when Greg decided to resign because he told Kirk that I have a national championship under my belt with my offense. What do you got?
You know what? I think somebody told you that fucking conversation and they're lying.
You think it's a lie?
Greg Davis just got old and retired. It wasn't like he had a terrible first season running that because he didn't have Vince Evans as a quarterback. He had that terrible first season, and
he ruined. He ruined those. At Vandenberg was our quarterback or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm not.
He ruined him. He ruined him as a quarterback. That guy had a great season under Ken O'Keefe the year before.
Yeah, and fans were complaining about Ken O'Keefe. That's the way fans are. I'm not a member of the Greg Davis Preservation Society.
Okay.
You know, so I'm not even all in on Tim Lester. I'm the type of guy that give Tim Lester a chance when he was hired. And like I said last year, the school's out. We'll see what Tim Lester. And obviously, when we get down on the goal line, Tim Lester's been calling some of them crappy plays because Kirk would not be passing the ball. So
no, I agree. I do not think, and never have I thought that Kirk was calling the plays. I know people who said that. Me and Jason both said that those were Lester's plays, but I always believe that Kirk kind of just like let him know when to open it up and when not to open it up.
And any head coach, when a play caller does something stupid down on the goal line, like we did against Iowa State 2 years ago, any coach is going to pull his microphone down to his mouth on his head. So for the most part, Kirk's microphone's up here. But he's going to pull it down or say something at halftime like, run the goddamn ball,
Yeah.
Because he is the head coach, So,
all right, but anyway, they mentioned Brian. I just wanted to say, by the way, everybody knows he's at Fresno State. The Fresno State football coaches are making a trip to Bakersfield this week. I might go see Brian and see if he'll talk to me. I was a little disappointed. Eric says I was a little disappointed when they hired Lester over the other finalists, but I think Lester was probably the correct hire for our Iowa system. I love Lester. Yes, I was on the bandwagon too. I was disappointed. But however, after his introduction speech, he completely won me over.
I think there was only 4 people in Iowa that weren't, big critics of it, and one was Donnie Patterson, one was me, and the other 2 was somebody named Kirk Ferentz and Beth Goetz. I think those were the 4. But again, I'm not all in on Lester yet. I want to see is he a great offensive coordinator? I think we're doing better. Of course, he's got an offensive line now. It's a lot easier to have an offense that gets first downs when you got the last 2 years we've had arguably the best offensive lines in college football. And I think this year, you don't know about injuries, but I would foresee it to be very similar. So that helps.
If we could be explosive in the pass game, that will help us beat Michigan, Ohio State, and Washington.
Yeah.
If we can be explosive there. But I'm going to guess that their DBs are pretty explosive themselves. What do you think of the 2014 playoff? Do you think it's coming?
Oh, hell yes. Even all the athletic directors and coaches in the SEC want it now.
I thought the SEC didn't want it.
The only people that don't want it are some talking heads of the SEC and ESPN, because ESPN don't want to lose their golden calf, But the thing I don't want to really see is I don't want to really see the end of the championship games in the conferences. But
that's what it sounds like is going to happen.
I would just
They're talking about having scheduling for Big Ten, 8 games, and then having 9th game be a play-in type game for playoffs. I don't know how that would work.
Well, that was involving the Big Ten championship, still having a Big Ten championship. Now they're talking about not having that Big Ten championship. I would like them just start the season. They have week 0. Everybody start on week 0 and get your 12 games in. Play the Big Ten championship. To me, and that makes the conference a lot of money.
Yeah, but see, the championship games are traditionally done on the first Saturday in December, and that's with this new 24 rule. They'd have to start playoffs on that.
We'd quit playing Nebraska on Black Friday, and they'd start playing their championship games that weekend.
Okay,
that would be the change. Which I love playing Nebraska on Black Friday, but I just think it's weird. There's no way you can decide the Big Ten champion by just playing these regular season games with 18 teams, because most teams never play each other. Yeah. I think there should be a Big Ten championship game, but I'm sure I'll be voted out on that. So,
yeah. Eric says, here's a question for you. Who would take the bet that Iowa will have at least 3 40-plus yard pass plays this year? I would take that bet, and I think I would take the over.
Did we had that many last year?
I don't remember how many we have. We'd have to go back and look,
I don't know.
But the question is our quarterbacks are unproven. I mean, they had a little bit of experience at their previous schools, but
I just think that we're going to pass for more yards this year than we did last year, because neither one of our quarterbacks, if we ran Heklinski that many times as Gronk did this year, he would get killed. And I don't have faith that either one of our quarterbacks would, hold up to that kind of pounding.
I don't think they will. I don't know.
I think we'll have a more explosive, and we'll throw the ball more.
Yeah, I think we will too. I think we're going to go. I think we'll have 200 yards passing and 200 yards rushing. We're going to be a balanced team this year.
Yeah, I don't know, boy. If we did that, that'd be a hell of an offense. I doubt that we'll hit those marks, but.
Okay. Well, you know what? Later this summer, when we do our outlandish predictions, remind me. I'll be doing that one.
I remember when Punting is winning last year, wanted us to predict how many passing yards will Gronowski get. And I was the lowest one, I thought. And I said 2,500 yards. And I think he had 1,500.
Yeah, there you go.
So 200 yards a game, that's like 2,600 yards. We
never hit 200 yards with our passing game at all last year.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think
the best we had was like 150 something yards.
I don't know.
160.
I don't know. It seems like Rutgers and maybe the Vanderbilt game were our biggest passing games, but I'm not sure.
Right now, Doc says we got to have the best tight end room in the country.
Oh, we got one. We got one anyway. Yeah. Hopefully, Ostrenga comes back.
Ostrenga coming back. Got Mike Meyer. I think it's Mike Meyer, right? Or Thomas Meyer. Yeah, and of course Vaname, who just kept getting stronger as the season, getting stronger and better as the season went on. Man, he made some fantastic catches.
Vaname will probably be one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends in the country. Mm-hmm. He's our number 1 tight end. He's going to be in the NFL draft next year. And
you know what? George Kittle's getting beat up. George Kittle's getting beat up.
We don't know about Ostrenga's, how he's going to they say he's back to being full bore here by the 1st of July or whatever, but we got to wait and see. He's a really good tight end. Never drops pass. Now, Thomas Myers, he looks like Adonis in a football uniform, but I seen in the spring game, they threw him a ball and he dropped it. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But
Eric says, who does Black Friday shopping after the Nebraska game every year? Good golly, Miss Molly, I don't think Black Friday shopping is what it used to be.
Everybody does their Black Friday shopping all week from home.
Online, yeah.
Who the hell goes out to them stores on Black Friday anymore?
I used to.
Well, I used to too 20 years ago, but I learned real quick when the debit card and the internet come up. It was like, yeah, why would I go to Kohl's and stand in line for 2 hours to get
And
around?
get beat up by people trying to get something that you got in your hand.
I just don't know anybody that goes out anymore. Maybe somebody does, but I don't know.
Doc says the best O-line and returner in the country won us some games. I have no doubt about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Ortworth, pretty good one also. I forgot about Ortworth.
I didn't. He's just he's a 4-string tight end that blocks, probably be our best blocker. I'm excited about Mason Woods. He's going to be a hybrid guy that I think Lester's going to be using him a lot. You put him and Voname out there on the football field together, and I know Woods right now only weighs 220 something pounds, but that don't matter. He's still a weapon, you know, catching the ball, running the ball. So,
yeah, yep. And
but I just don't know that we're the best tight end room in the country when we have one that we know is really good.
Okay.
And he's a walk-on quarterback from Breda, Iowa. Or Breda, Iowa, however you pronounce it.
Okay. All righty. Okay. One final football topic, unless you got some more in your head. I know that you follow this, but the Iowa high school track state was this weekend, correct?
Yeah. Well, it was all week. Yeah.
Some of our recruits, do you know how they did? I know that Barnett posted a picture of his son finishing second in the shot put.
As a 9th grader, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like 14, 15 years old.
Yeah. Oh my God. Is he going to be on the O-line coming to Iowa or not?
Oh yeah. There ain't no doubt about that. I don't know if Kirk will still be here or not. We'll see, but hopefully if Kirk ain't here, hopefully Barnett's still here. So
yeah. Eric says, does young Woods staying mean that it's likely Woods has intention of coming back to Iowa at some point? I think he would love to come back to Iowa as a head coach, but that's not going to happen in the next couple of years, I believe. And by that time, young Mason Woods will be gone.
LeVar made the comment on his goodbye press conference that he does not want Mason following him around. He said where'd he send his daughter to school? The University of Houston or someplace. Mm-hmm. And he said it was good. It's good for your kid that you've been over top of their whole life for them to go out and do something on their own. Mm-hmm. I think that might be part of the reason LeVar left was, he wants to build a resume, but he also probably wants his boy not to have his shadow over top of him every day,
Well, that too, but he also wants to be a head coach one day, and his clock is ticking, so he needs to get experience elsewhere. And
I said for his resume. So
yeah, he's basically the second in command behind Fitzgerald, and just like gosh, why am I having a brain fart? Who's our second in command behind Ferentz? Seth Wallace. So they both got the same job. And everybody said from the beginning, after Seth Wallace got the job, Woods felt slighted that he wanted. Now, if he did, I don't know. Or if he was happy for Seth Wallace, I don't know. But it only took him one season to get out of town.
And I think Seth and LeVar are very close. Mm-hmm. But I'm just worried about LeVar going to Michigan State and Fitzgerald falling on his face. I mean, you can't get by at Michigan State, winning 7 games one year and the next year winning 3.
Well, here's the difference.
That's what Fitzgerald did, and he's in a whole different Big Ten now. than he was at Northwestern.
But he's a hell of a coach, and I thought he did the best with the talent he was allowed to bring to Northwestern. Remember, Northwestern standards of admitting students in was a whole lot different than, let's say, Michigan State. Michigan State can attract more talent and better talent than Northwestern.
Maybe.
And so, D'Antonio, is that how you say his name? D'Antonio or something? When he had the Michigan State program, it took him a couple of years to build it to where he needed to. But remember, he built them into a power in the conference. And their downhill slide started after he stepped away. Okay. So, darn, I was hoping you had some track stuff for us.
I had what?
I was hoping you had some track results from some of our recruits besides the one we know about.
I can't think of anybody that blew won state championships or anything. But
okay.
Anyway, not off the top of my head.
All righty. I want to share a couple of things from women real quick, and then I got something to ask you about your women. I just want to put out there that I pulled this up because Journey in August is going to have, July, is having a meet and greet in your Quad City area, right? I can't read that. I lost three. I thought it was in the Quad Cities, but maybe I'm wrong.
I seen she's having about a bunch of different athletes are having meet and greets at the Vine in Iowa City. Kyle, Kyle, who was on here, he wanted to force him in golf to play at Randazzo's golf tournament. And it's on my birthday, June 20th. And Journey and 3 or 4 of her friends were going to be at the golf tournament. I wanted to go to that, but Kyle bailed on me. It cost $100 each. And I know that
have the money. Or
he's probably busy with his wedding or something. I don't know. But I wanted to go because Journey is my favorite player. And I'll bet you $1 million she'll have Chit Chat and Danny Carnegie there and probably Taylor Stremlow or somebody. I don't know. But yeah. I wanted to go there. I've never met her in person. And I know that golf course like the back of my hand. And I told Kyle I'd get a couple ringers. Real good. Might even have got Jakes to come play, But
hey, Doc, do you play golf? Because Doc is a really heavy. If this is the same Doc that I
can't really
a heavy
play.
women's fan. If this is the same Doc,
yeah, I was a really good golfer, but I can't play anymore. I told Kyle I'd be you guys' caddy, and I'd pay my way in, and I would hit a shot when I felt like I could lift a golf club. And somebody'd have to I'm so bad, somebody'd have to stick a tee in the ground for me because I can't.
Is it a best ball or a best shot tournament?
It's you hit a ball and everybody plays off the best ball. So, but
okay.
Yeah,
Doc says
I was looking forward to seeing Journey. I just say, hey, Journey, you're my favorite player.
Yeah. All right. Doc says. Okay. Doc says their downfall began when Pitt got Narduzzi as their head coach, so he must have been the real brains behind that program.
I don't know. If
Doc says no, he's not playing golf. He just got his gallbladder out.
Yeah. Well, that'll lay you up for like a few weeks. What was I gonna say? I think D'Antonio, if you look it up, I think he got in some type of trouble, is why he was forced out at Michigan State. But I don't remember what it was.
Now.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I wish LeVar would have went someplace. I don't care if it was Central Michigan. I don't care where it was, and proved that he was a good coach. Yeah. Right. I don't think he'll prove anything at Michigan State unless he gets another job, off that Michigan State gig.
That could be. All righty. Doc says 4 to 6 weeks he'll be laid up. Okay, this one, I don't think you can read this one either because it's quite small, even on my screen. Taylor Strimlow's doing another basketball clinic up in her home area of Wisconsin in August.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be.
But I just letting these people know because there's a lot of women's fans on here, as you know, by the number of questions we get. I just want to let them know that they got chances to meet and greet these people.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Tegan Mulaney ain't there. So
that'd be nice. Yeah, they're all still friends. They're not like they're enemies or anything.
Well, they were very good friends. So
yeah.
What's our next sport we're going to talk about, or do we have more questions, or what?
Right now the questions have dried up. Question for you. We're going to have basketball coming up, but and I know I got the pictures up that you asked me to put up, I think, on this. Is this the surprise thing you wanted to talk about on men's basketball?
Well, it was something that's been talked about for the last 30 hours over there on 3 was that Davian Thompson.
Yeah. I think this is him right here.
Yeah. He was a guy that was on nobody's list as far as Iowa. Fran offered him when he was like a freshman. I think he was originally from Bolingbrook, Illinois, and now he's from someplace in Missouri. Can't remember.
Yeah.
Town in Missouri.
Yeah. And when we talked last week, I don't believe this guy was on our list of
he wasn't on anybody's Iowa recruiting list.
Okay.
But Ben likes to keep stuff secret.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he keeps other coaches away. I don't know how you can keep this guy secret when he's a number 18 guy in the country.
And he's a 4-star.
And he goes to these all-star things, AAU and stuff, and he's the MVP. Right there, you got his stats up 50% from 3-point. He's a left-hander.
Yeah.
And he can play guard or off guard. And anyway, the rumor was that they're trying to get him to reclassify, so he could enroll in June or September whenever he got all his paperwork done, like Trey Thompson did last year.
Yeah,
that was a rumor. And Tom Kakert today walked up to his coach at this all-star thing and asked him, and he says, well, reclassifying we've discussed it lately, but I think he's going to come back to school next year like that. Whether that was the coach wishful thinking, we don't have any direct evidence that Ben has trying to get this kid to reclassify and come to Iowa. But now he is interested in Iowa, as is about 100 schools. So that was the deal. And he plays with the guy he plays with on these travel teams is Jackson Davis, who's from the Chicago area. They probably grew up near each other. And he's also the 18th or 19th best player in the country. And he's a pure point guard. And of course, Ben's recruiting him. And Ben's recruiting like 6 of the top 40 players in the country, and they're all point guards. So, and then you made the statement, well, if he came, we couldn't have Tavian Banks on the team because it'd have too many. Well, Ben has over and over again talked about it at these iClub meetings, and I've sent the videos of him being interviewed. He said he was being coy with Tyler Tashman because they asked him, how many roster spots do you have? And Ben just slyly said, I don't know, Tyler, how many do we have on the roster? And Tyler said, we got 14. And so Ben says, well, I guess we got 14. But then Ben came out at the iClub meetings and he said, actually, we can get Tavian Banks and another player and not lose anybody because Nate Cook, who's a walk-on, can be grandfathered in as a 16th player like they do in football, where, Kirk's you're limited to 105 guys, but Kirk literally has 113 on the roster. Okay. Because you don't, the NCAA decided that if you were a walk-on before this rule, you don't have to be kicked off the roster until you graduate. So anyway, that was the whole thing that was all kind of interesting over the last day and a half. That this guy I'd never heard of. Then I watched him play. He's very left-handed and very good shooter, and very good at everything, jumping, long arms. He's good, like driving into the middle of the lane and using a Euro step and doing a fall away shot like Lucy Olson used to do. And he just it's very, very exciting if we're going to talk about men's basketball. It's just very exciting, the future of the men's basketball program. Thank God for Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. And Ben was talking about
Final
Ethan
Four
Harris.
bust next year. Final Four bust.
He's talking about Ethan Harris. He was talking about, they were asking him about, well, you got a lot of forwards, and he said, well, actually, Ethan Harris is a 6'9" guard. What?
Isn't that what Magic Johnson was, a guard at 6'9"?
Yeah. But, Ethan Harris is that red-haired kid from Washington who's pretty thin, and he goes, he's a 6'9" guard. And I thought, boy, that'd be something.
That would be.
Could
you imagine a 6'9" point guard or something? He could just distribute the ball. He could see everything.
and then Ben said Tate Sage is a point guard. He played a wing this year. But if you noticed, that when Ben at Sturts, a lot of times Combs would bring the ball up the court and Sturts wouldn't. And then Tate Sage there at the end of the season would bring the ball up. Mm-hmm. So take Combs's place bringing the ball up. So it's just like, I am so excited about the men's basketball program. I was very much in favor of Ben McCollum being our coach, but I never realized I'd be this excited. I cannot believe it, Dean. It's like I'm a little kid and Lute Olson and Ronnie Lester are there.
Yeah, I get it.
And I think Ben will be more consistent in a tournament than Lute was.
Yeah. I will say this, though. The schedule that he's putting together for non-conference is so much tougher than what Fran McCaffrey ever put together,
Yeah, I don't remember all the years, but you're probably right.
Yeah.
So
there were usually stuff like Eastern Massachusetts or Maryland Duluth or something like that.
But I remember when Fran was there, we always played in the ACC Challenge. North Carolina would come to Carver, and we'd go to North Carolina or someplace. But anyway, it is.
And the Big East Gavin games, but they don't have any of that anymore.
It's like Ben says, it's very hard to set up a schedule now because we have budget restraints. To get some schools to come to Iowa, we have to pay them a lot of money, and we'd rather have the money for the revenue share than they're paying Eastern Illinois like $200,000 to come play.
Well, that's better than the $1 million that we're probably playing you and I to come play us.
Are we playing you and I?
No, in football.
Yeah, but football makes so much money.
I'm going to read some comments real quick.
Okay.
It says, Bob Huffman says, we may have great tight ends, but you still have to throw to them. I thought they were underutilized this last year. They were. No doubt about it, but we had a quarterback who wanted to run more than he threw. So our wide receivers were underutilized as well. Are you guys going to any football or basketball games this year? If I'm able to make it back to Iowa in September, it will be a football game. Right now, my target it would be either Iowa State or UNI game, one of those two.
No, I'm a total Iowa sports nut, and I'm not embarrassed to say I have never been, other than an Iowa spring football game, I have never been to a Hawkeyes sporting event in my life.
Yeah, and I've been to all kinds.
I grew up on a dairy farm where you couldn't go any place to go see anything. We didn't have tickets and all that stuff anyway. And then when I quit farming, when I was 40 or whatever, I was so lucky to go into warehouse jobs where I worked 5-6 days. I worked 6 days a week, and I wasn't going anyplace. So
yeah. Eric also questioned about Magic Johnson. I don't know if he's questioning it because he doesn't know who Magic Johnson is,
Magic,
he's questioning the fact that I said that he was 6'9". I don't know. He might have been 6'6" or 6'7".
They listed him as 6'8" in high school. I mean, in college, but when he got to the pros, they listed him at 6'9".
Yeah.
Of course, he was very young when he went to the pros. He's probably 20.
Do you remember? I think it was his first or second season. Kareem got hurt, and they put Magic in there to play Kareem's spot in the center.
It was his rookie year.
Yeah.
And then Larry Bird was the same way. In high school from French Lick and at Indiana State, he was always 6'9". And when he got up with the Celtics, they measure him, for the official draft and all that stuff. And Larry was 6'10". So, and then another little secret about Bill Walton, he was always listed at 6'11". He made John Wooden list him at 6'11". He was actually over 7 foot tall because he didn't want to be known as a 7-footer. So,
yeah. By the way, Eric doesn't envy dairy farmers. We have friends who are tough schedule. They have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and milk the cows.
And then you did your chores during the day, and it was back out there in the evening, milking, and you get up to the house and you're tired because you got to get up at 4:30 in the morning and take a shower and you go to eat and go to bed.
Yeah.
And if you had the flu and was puking and couldn't hardly walk, you still had to go out and milk your cows every day.
They had to be milked. Yeah.
The cows do not like strangers milking them. So.
Yeah.
Well, they're used to their people. It ain't like I was milking them with my hand. You put them on a milk machine on them, but they knew a strange voice, and then they wouldn't let down their milk, and then they'd get sick. Their bags would swell up with mastitis and get infection in them and ruin your good cows. So.
Yeah. Oh, Eric says, yeah, I just meant that there are 6'9" point guards. I haven't heard of any 6'9" point guards.
He's the tallest one I can remember.
Yeah, me too. I
remember named Rick Barry that was 6'7" or 8, but he played for Ralph Miller one year at Oregon State, and then he went to Cal State Fullerton or something, a first-round draft pick, but he never made it in the NBA worth crap.
So, Eric, I didn't mean to insult you because you didn't know who Magic Johnson was. I just meant that I wasn't sure if you didn't know who he was or not, but because you are young. You could have been born after the Magic Johnson era.
I would think everybody know Magic. He's on TV, a co-owner of the Dodgers, co-owner of the Lakers, co-owner of the Los Angeles Sparks. He said the other day, Caitlin Clark sure made him a lot of money. Nobody was going to the Sparks, and then everybody now they're interested in women's basketball. And he
owns the Sparks too.
Well, the Lakers do, and he's part owner of the Lakers.
Yeah, so that's true.
He's worth like $2 billion now.
Okay, speaking of Caitlin Clark, she had a game on Friday. Okay, and I did not get to see the game because I was outdoor dashing, but I saw an interview where she got like a technical foul and a flagrant foul called against her, and she didn't even know it.
Yeah, it was right at the end of the first half. Her and another player yelled at each other, and they walked away. And I seen the ref call it, but nobody told Caitlin. She just went off to the locker room. But boy, did
the other girl get to shoot a free throw while she went to the locker room?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if it was on both teams, so maybe they didn't shoot free throws.
That's true.
I don't know. But anyway, she didn't know about it. But boy, Caitlin, sure, she's the reason that team won that game. It was like they were so lackadaisical, and Caitlin just came in there like she was pissed off that everybody's playing so lackadaisical, and she just took it over. She's still the straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric says I watched Michael Jordan back in the day when I was a kid. Yeah, because Michael Jordan era was definitely after the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson era.
Larry, Magic and Michael played against each other probably like 7 years.
Oh, okay. I did not realize they overlapped. I did not realize that.
Michael's first championship was against Magic. So
okay.
Yep.
Alrighty. So. Oh, I had a comment, man. I was gonna say, and I can't remember what it was. I got sidetracked.
Mm-hmm.
What were you just talking about before we mentioned Michael Jordan?
I don't know. Probably something stupid. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to think. I got all my charts.
I don't even know what subject we're on, but real quick, Jan said the players are reporting the 5th of June.
June 15th.
She said the 5th of June today, where I heard it. But you said June 15th. 5th of June, she said they're moving in. She said all except Stromdahl. Stromdahl is on the national Swedish team. Is it Sweden she's on from?
Yeah.
Okay. So she'll be a few weeks of playing basketball before she gets here.
Yeah. Okay.
And she says she's a lot better. She said that recruitment took 4 days. Lysandra Barrett found out about her. They invited her to come out, and she was all like, the girl was so excited to visit the famous University of Iowa, Hawkeyes, and she come and visited. What?
Oh no, I was just thinking that's perfect. And then, but how much does Caitlin Clark help these recruits by do they have her call them or text them or something?
No, I don't think so. But not in this short time period. But anyway, she said we called her and set up where she could come. And 4 or 5 days later, she's here, and Jan says she's the nicest person you ever met, and she's taller than advertised. And they've seen videotapes of her playing, She plays in a pro league and everything at 17 years old. And she said they're just overjoyed that they found this gal. So that's a quick little story in there. And whenever does a recruitment take 4 or 5 days, Dean?
Yeah. I think wasn't it about the same as Bria Medina?
I don't know.
But they said, I think that she's the one that she said that they were going to get ready to fly her out. And she says, no, I'll just drive out.
Well, yeah, it's so close. Why would you fly? What was she would, I think from Galesburg, I guess she'd drive 30 miles to Peoria, get on a plane that takes 20 minutes to get to Iowa City, and why not just drive an hour and 20 minutes or whatever it is to Iowa City,
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, if she was still at Galesburg, because she's an Arizona native, right? That's where her real home is.
Yeah, she was still in college at Galesburg, finishing up her, her tests for the semester or whatever. But
yeah. But yeah,
was Knox College the one that instead of having 2 semesters, they had 3? Is that
some colleges do that? They have trimesters.
Trimester. So
yeah, no, some actually do. I mean, okay. Anything else you wanted to discuss that we didn't get done tonight?
I just think that as far as commenting, I've already commented that Iowa's got a top 15 football program. All is well. We got, I think, Ben, we're just going to have an elite program, and I don't know, the women, we have the potential to be a really good program. I hope, like Jan, I listened to a podcast today where she mentioned that the things that I'm mentioning, and I can't remember where it was. But
it was a strange. You sent me a copy of that podcast,
yeah.
but it was by a strange group of people.
Oh, it was by the guy that used to be on WHO or something. That Gary. He was the only guy I knew, but I knew him. He's a journalist, a TV journalist. Well, I'm gonna listen to this, and it was very good. And she said that this is not the job I took. She said, when Lisa was here, we recruited people, and the first year, for the first time, we went out and got like a Lucy Olson. And he said, but it wasn't that much different than before, where we get a Kylie Fierbach in a transfer portal or something. But she said last year was like, wow, all this money that we got to spend to get players to come from high school and everything. Who did we get from the transfer portal last year, Dean? Do you remember? We lost
Chit Chat.
Chit
Chat and Emily.
Yeah. She said
and Emily never worked out. That's just too bad that Emily didn't work out because I liked her game. Anyway.
She's very talented. She had bigger hands than Caitlin Clark. I like a girls basketball player that's got big hands. If you throw them the ball, they catch it. People don't take the dribble away from them very easy, But and she said her second year was like way different. Like, wow, I got to pay these people a lot of money to come here out of high school and to transfer. And then my whole roster is getting calls from agents all over. And then she said this year was another 10 times worse. She says, you don't understand how much these players cost. You know.
Well, this transfer portal thing has been going on for a few years now, but it's really getting over the top now. When we lose 5 girls to the transfer portal, which the Iowa women program has never lost that many in one season, ever. And then you count the 4 that graduated.
And a lot of other teams had the same problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't just Iowa. A lot of teams. UCLA, though, didn't lose anybody, did they?
Everybody graduated, But the future of the Iowa women's program, I think, is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as confident that it's hard. I think it's harder for Jan. You can see already that, she's recruiting very good high school athletes, and then when you recruit them really good high school athletes, she's got to understand you're only probably going to get 10% of them, right?
Mm-hmm. You're not going to get them all, and
no,
that's proven over the last 2 seasons. She's only gotten one major high school person over the last 2 seasons, one each year. She got Eddie Deal this past year, and then now Velisco coming this in June. And then next year, the guy from Wisconsin.
The guy made the comment, Jan, you're not just driving through the hills of central Wisconsin recruiting anymore. They got so many girls out of high schools in Wisconsin and high schools in Iowa and Illinois. That was their recruiting in Minnesota. Now it's, oh my God, I got to fly to. Jan made the comment that this past week she flew to California to recruit. She flew to, Arizona, flew to Seattle. It ain't like jumping in a car and me and Lisa driving up to see a couple of Wisconsin girls play, and we're not recruiting against UCLA for them, we're gonna steal them from Wisconsin or Marquette, So
I think
I don't
Wisconsin's
know.
going to surprise a few people this year with, adding people like Addie Deal, who I think is a better player than she showed at Iowa. Tegan Mulaney is much better than what she showed at Iowa. And I think these two getting a fresh start are going to show that to people.
Yeah, with the Wisconsin roster they got, Addie's going to play as many minutes as she wants. So she's obviously going to score a lot more points and everything. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But
Eric says, I assume that this is not helping ticket prices to games either. There's so much money steering everything in college sports anymore. It's really sad. Yeah. This is not the college sports that we grew up with.
I think that the men's tickets will become real hot. Hopefully the women will stay at about this. I think the women ought to stay at the same demand or go up. You know how popular Ava, Chit Chat, Danny, and Journey and Taylor are?
Oh, speaking of Chit Chat, did you know the podcast that Jada Gimphy used to do?
Her and Layla.
Yeah, Chit Chat and Layla are taking over that podcast. I always wanted Callie Levine to do it, but since she's no longer a Hawkeye, she's not eligible to run that podcast anymore. But I thought she would have been a perfect podcaster for that.
Well, you thought Callie was perfect for everything. But
I do.
Callie could have them girls make money with that podcast.
Yeah, they do.
Jan talked about that now you have the revenue share that they get that they can pay the women. And then she goes, there's NIL opportunities like hosting a podcast and
or meet and greets in Quad City for Journey.
Yeah. And also the podcasts are always, Jan said the podcasts are always, sponsored by people that restaurants and stuff that pay them.
Yeah.
That's
the podcast that they do is sponsored by Estelle's Tacos or something like that, or Estelle's Burritos or whatever they call them, Mexican Grill.
Estelle's.
Yeah.
Got an A on the end of it, but
so they're sponsored by that, and so and I know that they do commercials for them every now and then. I've seen some commercials.
Do we have another question, or is that already done?
That's it so far. That's it.
Huh?
So
okay, can I tell the quick Caitlin Candace Parker story?
Yes, I was going to try to lead you into it earlier, but I forgot to do that.
Yeah, the Kate. Just before I come on, here was Caitlin and Candace Parker on a Zoom together. Candace Parker does a real good podcast, and anyway, they were talking about how Caitlin was so proud of her team that they didn't win the championship in college, Caitlin says, well, most of the girls on the team, as you see, do not play professional basketball. I was very proud of what we accomplished in back-to-back years. And she said, they're all my best friends yet, like that. And she goes, there's things more important than winning a championship. We weren't a roster that was packed. And then Caitlin said in her sophomore year, that was pretty cool that you, Lisa Bluter, had Candace on a Zoom call to the locker room to talk to the girls. And Candace says, yeah, me and Lisa are like really tight. Lisa's the greatest gal. And Caitlin goes, well, why the hell didn't you come to Iowa then? And she goes, I visited, she's very famous as one of the greatest players of all time. Went to Tennessee, and she goes, I really loved Iowa, but my dad hated him. And the reason my dad hated him, I didn't know this. Her brother's the famous Tony Parker, who played for the San Antonio Spurs for so long with David Robinson and them guys, and Duncan. And she goes, I think her brother was like 10 years younger. and Tom Davis would not recruit Tony Parker. Probably took Troy Skinner instead or something, Anyway, so Tony Parker had to go to some Lil Bradley school. Then he ends up being a first-round pick, and my dad hated Iowa because they would not. Tony wanted to come to Iowa,
Okay,
And
first of all,
Tony would have played college in 1993, so he'd have been in there right after Chris Street passed away, right?
Yeah.
And then,
I always want to say something about that. I want to correct you on something.
Her dad would not let her come to Iowa.
Yeah.
So.
No, but I want to correct you on something. You said that Tony was probably 10 years younger than Candace. It would have to be the other way around in order for him to be mad at Iowa.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He played in 93, I think. Was his freshman year or senior year. And her first year in college was 2003. So yeah, I had that flipped over. So
yeah. Okay. Dang it! I knew I was going to forget. I should have written it down.
I don't know when Candace retired, but she's only 40 years old.
Oh, did you see the clip of Caitlin at the Indy 500 today?
Yep.
She stumbled over her words when she told the drivers to go to their cars. She didn't say it right. Well, and she said it softly.
Yeah, the first audio clip I seen came out. The audio and her lips weren't in sync.
Oh, that's probably what it was.
And then Keith Murphy put it up where I think it was Keith Murphy put it up where it was all in sync, and
it did. It looked better that way. Okay. Yeah. Well, guys, I think we're going to get out of here. We're going on 2 hours, so which has become standard for us.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
And we didn't really have. I do want to mention one thing.
What's that?
Yeah, because football recruiting, June 5th is a big time, and Wisconsin's pulling the same thing they did last year. Desmond King's cousin, Flemister, he committed to Wisconsin before a couple days ago. Wisconsin's paying kids to commit and all that shit. But the two running backs that one that is going to visit is Kayon Thomas, and he's from Indianapolis, I think, Indiana. And the other one's Kenyon Norman. And Kenyon Norman is visiting the 29th of May, your birthday. Is that your birthday, Dean?
28th, Thursday.
Oh, we'll say on your birthday then, the 28th. And then they're both going to...
Give me a present and commit on that day.
I think we lead for both of them. The kid named Thomas from, I think he's from Indianapolis. That kid is fast. And the other one named Norman is fast too, but not quite as fast. And they're both about the same size, that 6 foot, 200-pound area. And I think if Kirk wants two running backs, they'll both be committing to Iowa. But probably it'll be whoever commits first will get and then Kirk, Iowa, Polizzi offered the top 4 place kickers in the nation. So I don't know if that means they're not real happy with their place kickers. I don't know what that means. But the one guy, usually we have them as walk-ons, but the guy that's ranked number 1 in the country, I'll guarantee you'd have to give him a scholarship. And they're all from North Carolina Kicking Institute that Trip Woody and Drew Stevens was from. And I'm sorry I stretched the podcast out another 2 minutes, but I wanted to get that out there. So
no, that's fine. I had something else I was going to say, and now it slipped my mind because I was listening to you. I need to write these notes down as I go so I don't forget.
I don't know. I just hope we covered the state of the teams in the athletic department. I will say that I know a lot of people criticized Beth when she was hired for no particular reason, but I think she wanted I think she's done a great job
Yeah.
so far.
She won people over when she went in there and fired Brian Ferentz right under Kirk's nose.
Well, the Barbara Wilson did that, but she had to
she had to do the dirty work.
put it on her shoulder. Somebody had to do it, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then I just wanted to say about the softball program. I like it. I said last time I was on here, Gail Blevins. When I looked it up, when Gail Blevins retired, she coached 30 years, and she could have coached a good number of years yet, but Iowa for some reason got rid of her. I'd like to know why. She coached 30 years, and she was the second leading number 2 in lifetime winning as a softball coach. And then the Michigan coach, who ended up passing her, they started coaching the same year, but that Michigan coach coached 40 years. You know, but we were an elite softball program. And I'm hoping that this girl who's a protege of Blevins, who you interviewed the other day, her background is wonderful. You know, like all Big Ten shortstop and third baseman for Iowa, and then she was a great pro softball player, and she's been coaching for 12 years. You know, at Purdue, and I think she ended up at Fresno State or someplace like that. But I'm hoping.
She did a few years at Fresno State.
I don't know enough about her to know anything, but I know Beth handpicked her, and I'm hoping that she can. I know it's different than when Gail was here. Now it's NIL and stuff is in there, but I'm hoping that she can capture some of that Gail Blevins magic.
Yeah. I would just like to know why Gail Blevins was forced out, and the coach after her was also forced out last year.
Well, the softball coaches started coaching last year, quit because of health reasons. And then another coach came in and was very abusive to the players. So they got rid of him. Rid of him. And then they brought in this coach who was not a head coach material. He wouldn't fly on a plane. And he started recruiting for the University of Iowa, and he was offering these players that just weren't. Beth could see that they weren't up to the level that you needed to be. And so, you know, she went out for a nationwide search, and she found this girl. So
it didn't take her very long. She probably had her in the hip pocket for a while.
Well, she had the whole softball season to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because the old coach retired, and she probably knew that nobody on staff there was going to be our next coach. So go for the best coach you can get, you know.
Yeah. Eric says, thanks for the good show tonight.
Go for Ben McCollum instead of Darian DeVries, please.
Yeah.
You know.
So. Yeah. Thanks for the good show tonight, guys. Eric says this is a good place to get out of here. I'm not sure if we'll be back on later this week or not. We'll see how it goes. We need to have some interesting material to keep you guys all excited and keep you coming back. So,
if some of you guys would, if you know Dean on Facebook or anything, if you can, if it's a slow news week, which there's always going to be some news during the week, but not for a big podcast. If you guys have things that you want us to cover, a subject, interesting questions,
send them to us.
Yeah, what running back's gonna be the leading rusher for us? What running back's gonna be number 2? You know, something.
Oh, that stuff's coming. Oh, those are my favorite shows. We're gonna be doing that in July, probably.
Well, I know that, but if you get all them questions in one show, which we will do probably.
Show,
because I loved it last year when we picked our list of quarterbacks. You know, there's 18 of them for the other teams. List them in order. You know, pick your Big Ten standings. You know, that's fun. But then if you throw in a bunch of more questions, then your show's going on 3 hours and Dean's legs are killing him.
Yeah.
And
hey, I'm doing better tonight. I am really doing well tonight.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
That's because you interviewed that pretty softball coach. That's why. I would have liked to known about her little kids, how old they were.
Yeah, I had that on my list, but we just ran out of time because Jason kept asking those questions. I probably should have just took the opportunity and cut him off and jumped in there.
I love some of her answers, you know. Well, how come you don't slap bunt? Well, we don't have any left-handed hitters. Oh. That was a good answer.
They're is it Facebook or Instagram or maybe it was X? A Drake left hit power hitter after her freshman year decided to go into the portal, and I said, "Well, Iowa's looking for some lefty hitters, so go check out Iowa." She liked it. She liked it. My comment.
You're recruiting for her. Yeah. What was I going to ask you something? Well, how many viewers did you get?
For what? For that podcast?
For that Stacey one in the middle of the week.
We only had 168 viewers for the Stacey podcast.
Well, people just aren't.
They're just not into softball. My wife even said it. People just aren't into softball.
Softball's a niche sport.
Yeah.
You know,
like I told my wife, I said, if we'd had Ben McCollum on for that interview, we'd probably be close to 2,000 viewers or more.
Well, he'd have never talked to us again, but he'd had 2,000 viewers.
Oh, we did reach out to Ben McCollum. Well, we got an answer back.
Get lost.
But I'm not going to say what that answer was.
Yeah.
However, there is an open door that he might do it.
Yeah.
And we got a couple football players that we've reached out to, and one basketball player we've reached out to, and so we're not giving up. We're going after. We're going big time, guys. We're going big time. We're going after these people.
You should have used it. You should have worked it a little bit. You know, said when the week you were hired, we had Steve Crafson on, and he said that you would probably do our podcast.
Yeah, Steve promised us.
You can lie a little bit, you know.
And Steve would call us up and say, "I'm never doing your podcast again, guys. You lied."
I don't think he is going to do another one, but anyway,
he will. I think he will if we just ask him, because he said he would. After that, we said that we asked him if he would come back for more to finish it, and he said he would.
I hope so. Yeah. That'd be cool. But we had quite a few viewers that night, but. Softball is just a niche, probably a niche type thing, you know. Like I think if you had the Iowa women's wrestling coach on, you probably wouldn't get a lot.
Yeah,
you know. So.
I probably get a lot with brands, even though whenever we talk wrestling, we start to lose viewers. That's why I always put wrestling at the end.
About the state of our sports, my comment on women's wrestling is, we'll see if we're still in that top echelon. When there's a lot more wrestling programs, like Penn State has one, and Oklahoma State, and Iowa State, because we're getting about every recruit we want.
Right.
And we still didn't win this year.
Yeah.
We got second.
Yep, we got second. Now, I'm going to say this. I said that at the beginning when we talked about that with more and more Power 4 teams coming on board, it might be tougher because the talent pool will start to spread out more.
I'm pretty sure that we were the only Big Ten team that had women's wrestling.
We were about the only Power 4 team that had for a while there.
I believe you. Iowa State's going to start up in a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
part of the reason why the head wrestling coach at Iowa State stepped away from being head coach so that he could facilitate and be the general manager for both the women's and the men's team. And, you know, of course, everybody knows we got a former Iowan, or actually two Iowans now coaching Iowa State from here on out.
Is my memory correct that Oklahoma State and Penn State are going to too?
Yes.
At some point?
Yes.
And you know Ohio State will too.
Yep.
Yeah. They got so much money they don't know what to do with.
All right, let's not bore these people anymore. Let's get out of here. Guys, thank you for watching. If you watched this far, please drop a comment on the at the end of the show and say we watched. Please subscribe. I mean, hit that subscription button because, guys, every show we gain a couple of more viewers, and we're getting there. I mean, we're going from we're getting to, was it 700 and, getting close to 800, I think. Now, we're just really moving along quickly after being stuck around 600 for a year or two. So let's keep it moving forward. Let's have some fun with it. If you guys know of anybody out there that you can help us get on this show to interview that's a member of the Hawkeyes, you got any personal contacts, that would help. Sometimes I use the parents. The parents have been very helpful. So that helps too. But anyhow, guys, thank you for watching. And also I want to give a shout out to Hawkeye Nation, 2 separate words on Facebook, for putting our show on their channel. So go check them out when you can. And last but not least, we are part of the Villains Network. We've got 2 Hawkeye programs on there, Hawkaholics, who will probably be starting up in July. Again, for their season. They just typically do football and stuff, so they'll probably be starting up their football season here pretty quick. So so catch some of the other shows. One of the other more popular shows on here is the Golden Broom, where they're actually live right now as we speak. Golden Broom, where they do college baseball, and so getting ready for the World Series and stuff like that. So anywho, we're gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you watching, and come back for some more.